exclusive management or recompose this. They trying to come up with this. And with the satellite countries, they make economic contracts with the countries. And in 2020, in September, with the Trump countries, they have there is a normalization one, and we can say Abraham-Achan agreement. Before continuing with this, what kind of the disruption happened in this geography? With the disruption of Ottoman Empire in the First World War, and the United Kingdom was the first countries of imperialism, and between they were trying to put some distance between the Ottoman Empire and the Muslim countries, and they paid attention to develop different strategies and policies in this regard. And in this, there was a new order, and the new countries had a new political regime. And when we look at the imperialism in the places, there's a Shia regimes, and where there's a number of Sunnis are higher. And we can say that there was the managements, and they ensured that they are in they receive the social support, and they give such a priority to that. And the Baas party, in terms of they objected to establishment of Arab Union, and they had different policies, and Lebanon was established, and the population was used, and the Jordan was established for Iraq, and we can say that there was an artificial country in this regard. The countries like Jordan and Lebanon was there, and there is an Arab Union is tried to be objected to Palestine. Jordan followed very close to UK, and Lebanon went through the course of France, and in the buffer countries gathered together, and they couldn't follow a joint policies. And we can understand that in the beginning of all this, there's Israel. So during the First World War, the Arabic the communities, they developed policies to leave their peninsula. However, this is the backstabbing of Turks, and with among the people that they acted in this regard, and there was the hostility against the Turks, and this is very important, and they imposed to the public. So the imposition of this is they were acting for establishing for the opinion for the public. And when we look at this, we can say that this is for ensuring the Turkish and Arab to be separated. So 700 years later, Turks and Arabs they confronted with each other, and it is and this is for Arabic countries, and as all we can see. So when we look at the other subject, the impact of imperialism activity, so we can say that the petroleum is very much commonly very much found in the region, and there is the disruption of Iraq, and for Saudi Arabia and Lebanon, they were there. And in Iraq, and the imperialism through the petroleum companies, they tried to have it. And so, of course, this is for taking the income for the Arabic people, and these rich countries were shared by the American companies. And for the Iraq companies, of course, there is the pseudo reality of the imperialism. And now in the region, because of the conflicts in the region, for Libya and Lebanon, they're trying to have this. Although being Arabic and Muslim, Bahrain, Qatar, and in UAE, in Oman, there are 7 states that were created, and that they were these states were given to 7 countries. They're called in 7 sisters, and with the big petroleum monopolies, there are 7 different states that were there. And when we say imperialism, with the with the petroleum trusts in this region, and now there is the Western imperialism, and until today, there is a hegemony of the countries. However, in this period of the globalization, we can see that the countries are not actually able to compete. We can see that how the free markets, including America and South America, are not able to compete. And especially we can see how the financing capital remains weak in front of those this capitalization. One of the biggest examples of this is the Prince of Saudi Arabia. He will reign until 2030, and he disclosed that he's going to make a $1.3 billion investment. Again, we can see despite their ethnicity differences, you can see their cooperation with Turkey. So there is an imperialist power based on the economies in this area. And especially having this in this country, in the Gulf countries, and those countries who signed the agreement of normalization with America and with other states is of a very big importance. And of course, we can discuss what it can be done in the future periods. And it is not about regionalism anymore, it's about the globalization. And in the light of this globalization, I think that those countries should come together and should act together. And especially after the drawback of America from Afghanistan. I'm so sorry, Professor.
Oldukça dikkat edilmesi gereken bir husustur.
Dolayısıyla المخاوف حول إسرائيل وأمن إسرائيل أصبح يزداد في.
Dolayısıyla baktığımızda bu bölgedeki meydana gelen gelişmelerde Türkiye'nin ve bölge ülkelerin bir arada hareket etmesinin önemli olduğunu görüyoruz. Yine tarihten bir örnek verirsek, bugün emperyalist ülkelerin başını çeken, İkinci Dünya Savaşı'ndan sonra emperyalizmin başat aktörü olan Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nin bu Orta Doğu coğrafyasındaki İsrail ileri karakolunun önemi oldukça büyüktür emperyalist ülkeler için. Onun korunmasının önemi oldukça büyüktür. Bunun sürdürülebilmesi için de Amerika Birleşik Devletleri elinden geleni yapacağını da söylemek gerekir. Bugün baktığımız Amerika Birleşik Devletleri'nin tarih boyunca uygulamış olduğu bazı stratejileri, işte Irak'ta uyguladığı Saddam üzerinde, Libya'da Kaddafi üzerinde uyguladığı politikaların daha öncesinde, geçmişinde, Mısır'da Abdülnasır döneminde Asvan Barajı'nın yapılması esnasında kendisinden kredi isteyen bir Mısır hükümetine kredi vermeyerek onu yalnız bırakarak başka tersine çekmiştir ve Abdülnasır bu barajı Sovyetler Birliği'nden almış ve Kruşçev'le birlikte bu barajın temellerini atmıştır. Yine biraz önce bahsettiğim Güney Amerika ülkelerine baktığımızda Nikaragua'da da Amerika Birleşik Devletleri
back to Latin countries in Nicaragua, they did the same thing. The unwanted regimes in here, the unwanted states were left alone in there, and the policies created against those states are the foundations of this future governance. Turkey is fighting against imperialist countries, and especially talking about the F-35 project. And there are a lot of aircrafts they are not providing. And in order for Turkey to be able to secure its own security, it raises the question of the current position of the Turkey, and they are creating to create a negative perception over the situation of Turkey. And when we think about this, in up to 2023, the Americans are remaining silent, and they are so in order for the Islamic Union to be able to be founded and established, we need to get rid, let me say, of those imperialist forces who are governing the region. It is very important to act together and to reach to a consensus in there. This is how I want to end my presentation. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And I extend my deepest salutes and greetings to everyone. Mr. Ali Fuad, thank you very much for delivering this speech. You touched upon some very significant points, and we really liked your assessment. I just want to make a small reminder in here, a terminological reminder. The concept, should we need to use the Muslim terminology or the Islamic? Should we say the Muslim Union or the Islamic Union? I mean, what does this even mean to you? What do you want to be used? For me, for example, I'm more prone for the usage of the Islam Union. I mean, I think it has a religious and sociological roots, and strategically talking, I mean, it has a fuller, a more extensive and comprehensive meaning. Thank you very much. Valuable participants. We have Babu Shaib, Mr. Babu Shaib, and he's going to present towards a common Muslim foreign policy in the era of multicultural and cross-cultural challenge. It's quite a challenging topic. Mr. Hikmetullah, you have 20 minutes. We are with you.
الحمد لله وكفى والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد المصطفى وعلى آله الشرفاء وأصحابه أهالي الصدق والوفاء أما بعد. My dear respected colleagues, the topic, as Professor Edsar has mentioned, it is towards a common Muslim foreign policy.
Meslektaşlarım,
in the era of
Müslümanların dış
multicultural, intercultural,
politikalarını
and
ben
cross-cultural
çok
challenges.
kültürlü, çapraz kültürlü ortamlarda ele almak istiyorum.
So I have divided my paper into two parts. One is
Sunumumu iki ayrı parçaya bölmüş durumdayım.
the first part is introduction. It
Birinci
talks about the
kısmı,
way,
giriş kısmı
and the second part is conclusion, the way forward.
ve ikinci kısım ise sonuç kısmı.
Okay. When we look into a cursory look at the present Muslim world will show that I may be barking up the wrong tree.
Halihazırdaki İslam dünyası,
A world stretching from Morocco to Indonesia with its varied ethnicity, culture, languages, and interests indicate that having any common foreign policy will be near impossibility for the obvious reason that the Muslim world is still reeling from the virus of colonialism and that it has not fully recovered from the euphoria of independence. Thus, the Muslim Ummah is at a crossroad of both implosion and explosion at the same time. The dire situation was brought about by two factors. One, incompetency, and the other, ignorance. It is simplistic to assign one factor to one and the other to another. In fact, both leaders and the led are equally culpable in this crime against Muslim Ummah. The led was ignorant of the challenges that were taking place post World War I and the leaders for misleading the Ummah through their incompetency to lead. As a result, the Ummah was on a roller coaster ride to nowhere. With the dismantling of the Muslim Caliphate, Muslim world has lost its rallying point. With the collapse of the central authority that cuts across ethnic divide, which would have otherwise evolved into a modern multi-ethnic, multilingual federal state, embracing a wide spectrum of color, crime, and culture, began to be labeled as famous sick men of Europe. Much of its erstwhile territories were carved out by various actors who orchestrated and choreographed the World War I theatrics. To speed up the process, the desert Arabs colluded with the conniving British deserted their central authority and formed the shaky sheikdoms that guaranteed safe passage for colonialists to take root in the Holy Land, resulting in the betrayal of the Palestinians of their right to their homeland. Still, those who betrayed the Palestinians are competing with one another to add salt to the injury by recognizing the illegitimate entity and to normalize relations with it. Some of them even pressurized those Muslim countries who were paying lip service to Palestinian causes to normalize with Zionists. These Muslim Zionists who mooted the idea of a two-state solution to solve this man-made crisis are dragging the Ummah to its final abyss. It is shameful that despite the revolution turning into springs, did not give hope to many who yearned for genuine change. The same despotic regimes that brought humiliation re-engineered their way back to power, but this time doing some cosmetic touch-ups by using Sharia to tie the hands of the Muslim in reacting and revolting. This duplicity of Muslim leadership has emboldened strong anti-Islamic and Muslim-hating actions by non-Muslim countries that they unleash terror against Muslims within their own territories and have mastered the art of Islam bashing and Muslim thrashing activities with total impunity. As a result, there began the exodus of Muslims from the so-called Dar al-Islam to Dar al-Mu'ahada or even to Dar al-Harb, where Muslims are subjected to various processes of integration, assimilation, amalgamation, and outright annihilation that are aimed at de-Islamizing Muslims from their religious orientation. Okay?